Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Preparing for the Unexpected. In light of the events of January 6th in Washington, D.C., I thought I needed to record a bit of a disclaimer at the start of today's video. I recorded it actually 3 weeks ago. Its topic, Crisis Management and Words Matter, was based on other events and different things that I've experienced over the years. However, by re-listening to it, I know some bits of it could seem as though it's in response to what happened on January 6th. So I wanted to quickly say that this video is not in response to that. I don't want it to become a political topic. It was specifically about crisis management and what leaders say and don't say and what they expect and things like that. So I wanted to put this up front so no one can turn around and say I was being political. Sadly, some of what I say in the following video is applicable to January 6th, but I hope you enjoyed anyway. And welcome to another episode of Preparing for the Unexpected. I'm your host, Alex Fullick, and as always, we like to talk about things related to disasters, crises, communications, emergency management, resiliency, COVID, anything that helps you, your organization, and your communities prepare, respond to, and get through adverse situations, and hopefully better for it on the other side. Today, I want to talk about some of the words that get said during conferences and during media events, and how our words matter. We're seeing too many examples these days of off-the-wall comments, bizarre theories, straight-out lies, mistruths, meaning they take the truth and massage it a little bit so it comes out as something different. It's crisis management 101, and communications for spokespeople and PR people. Your messages matter. What you're saying, what you want people to do, how you want them to respond, if at all, matter. Pointing fingers and throwing bombs, with silly comments off the wall doesn't help your case. It ruins your credibility. If you lie, no one's going to respect you later on. You're going to be made fun of. You lose your credibility. And no one will pay attention when you really do want a message to come out that's straight to the point, honest, and you want people to respond to. If you don't use the right words, and you are lying or you are fudging, information to suit your own purposes, you're going to cause confusion amongst people. If you want them to perform an action, maybe they'll perform it wrong because you communicated incorrectly. You didn't use the right words, or they won't respond at all. Complete inaction. Or what if they do respond, they're completely all over the map. And it creates even more confusion, more problems, more issues, compounding the potential issue you already have, the one you're trying to communicate to help resolve what's occurring. You're never speaking to a small audience anymore. I think a lot of people, spokespeople, in governments, organizations, sometimes they're thinking that they're just talking to the media or their employees. Maybe their suppliers, partners. But in today's world of social media, everyone is your audience. You can have a small, tiny press conference where you're releasing information, you're conveying a new product, a new service, or just giving an update to a stakeholder. Use the wrong words, say the wrong thing, and it's all over social media sites. There's no such thing as a small audience anymore. Everyone is the audience. And over time, a lot of people are going to see what you did or didn't do. and it's going to come back to bite you. The words you use matter. You can't call groups of people bad names. This isn't, grade school on a playground, where we teach kids not to do that, and then we grow up and we do exactly that. Some people use phrases and words to try and deflect from themselves to get people, media, partners, employees, colleagues, anyone to look somewhere else. So they'll give a different message. Well, that doesn't work, because when you do that and people get the whiff, just a tiny whiff, that that's happening, they go digging and they look for more information. Then they uncover it. They uncover the truth and they find out you weren't being truthful. And sometimes we use the wrong words to describe people, or situations. Here's an example. When I grew up, there was all kinds of words describing people that use drugs. Junkies, being a main one. Oh, you're a junkie. And that came with seedy underbelly tones. Gutters. Back alleys. Rats, garbage. Just it was not. Looking back at it, was not a really good word. Today, words matter, so we describe it a little bit differently. People that are on drugs. That's all. People that are using drug users. A lot softer imagery than junkie. Or and I was taught this one because I used to use this, describing in continuity plans or scenario situations. Oh, there's 50 dead. Well, people don't like that word, dead. I was told, and now I've actually read it online, we shouldn't be using that. We should be using, casualties. It's a little bit softer, means exactly the same thing, but it's a little softer. I know a lot of people will say, well, it doesn't matter. It means the exact same thing. Yeah, maybe to you, but not to everybody, right? I said earlier, it's a global audience now. So that means we have to take into account many, 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 many more different perceptions. The audience you want to reach is much bigger than the one you intended. So when you are talking, at press conferences or in front of the media, anything along that lines, speak clearly, plainly. Don't use fancy language. I've seen executives, who use, these 50-syllable words, which might be fine in the executive boardroom, but they're not fine when you're trying to convey that message to people who aren't in that boardroom or are nowhere near that career height. They use different words to describe things. You're not going to get your message across. So speak clearly. Don't deviate from your message unless you're asked a question. But even if you're asked a question, depending on what it is, try and get back to your central message. And the central message may be people stay home, whatever the case may be. Stay on the message, speak clearly, and that way you're not going to be open to interpretation, because if you don't use the right words, you don't stay on message, you're not being clear and concise, people are going to start making up their own interpretations of what you're saying. And before you know it, your message is completely lost. It's the opposite of what you intended. And you've got chaos everywhere just because you couldn't use the right words, and speak clearly. And if you can't do that, then don't be the one to stand up there in front of the media and do the talking. Get someone else who can, and if you aren't the person, to do that, to stand up in front of media, if you're an executive who can't talk, in a way that's clear and concise to a general audience, get some training on how to do it. We have to go for training on different things. Just because you're an executive doesn't mean your only training is how to increase the bottom line. No, it's got to be beyond that. You've got to learn how to speak to everybody. So take a training course and learn how to do that. Think before you speak. I know many parents and teachers, have said that, think before you speak. You still hear that today. How many do? Some do, some don't. But our words matter. You don't want to incite hate. You don't want to incite inaction or the wrong action that causes more problems. Think of your words. Use them carefully. How do you want to be communicated to? What do you want to know? What would you want to know, depending on the situation? Look from that perspective. So be careful on what you say. Choose your words wisely. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody. If you liked that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave a message and let me know what your thoughts are. If you'd like to be a guest on the show to talk about something related to business continuity, disaster management, COVID, personal well-being, anything that's relatable to those subjects, you can reach me through my LinkedIn profile, which is in the video description. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. In the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.